Welcome to the flip side. Leaders, I created this year of conversations because I can't tell you how many conversations I've been having about how exhausted leaders are. And not because you aren't capable, not because you aren't committed or passionate, but because you've been holding everything together. You're filling the gaps, covering the roles that were eliminated or open, carrying teams through uncertainty, managing shrinking budgets and shifting expectations and constant change. And somewhere along the way, what started as leadership quietly has turned into maintenance. You're productive, you're reliable, you're necessary, but are you aligned? We are living in a season where leaders are being asked to do more with less. Less authority, less clarity, and less margin. And when that pressure goes unchecked, we slip from strategies that allow us to be thinkers into a space of becoming operational survivors. We check the boxes instead of building vision. We react instead of redesign. We begin to feel the resentment that comes from constantly pouring out without ever replenishing. That's why tonight's conversation matters, because leadership is not about being the hero who saves the day and everyone. It's about sustaining clarity, protecting capacity, and leading with intention, even when the climate is uncertain. My guest tonight, Katina Christmas Robertson, knows this journey firsthand. She's lived the shift from being overlooked to becoming a global leadership voice. She has trained leaders across major organizations, but more importantly, she's done the internal work to move from maintenance to momentum. So tonight, we're talking about that flip. The flip that restores clarity, the flip that restores and rebuilds capacity, the flip that moves you from overwhelmed into aligned. If you've been busy but not fulfilled, effective but not energized, needed but not able to be strategic, lean in. This conversation just might be the revival your leadership needs. Let's get to it on the flip side. What's making strong leaders in this season? Leadership is influence. It's rooted in the responsibility you take. You pay attention to the patterns, your calm, your strength, your hope. It's all integrated. We are living in a time where trust is fragile and people are watching not just what leaders say, but how they decide. Integrity is not optional anymore. Obedience is going to cost you. In this season, we're not just flipping adversity. We're forming leaders who can carry what comes next. Leaders from across all dimensions of fields and spaces, they're going to come together to give you the best of their wisdom. And I want you to leave each episode with a call to action. That's the work, that's the calling, and that's the conversation we're stepping into together. I can't tell you how much I have been waiting for this conversation, not only for you, but for me. This conversation is going to be my one-on-one, and you're just peeking in, because the woman I have sitting next to me is an expert in her field. Now, I'm going to give you her receipts, and then we're going to jump into this conversation. But I'm telling you, if you haven't gotten pen, paper, and called a friend, Check those boxes while I tell you a little bit about my guest. Katina Christmas Robertson is a global trainer, speaker, and leadership coach with over 20 years of corporate experience helping leaders grow through change, pressure, and uncertainty. All of the things, y'all, all of the things. A trusted trainer within major pharmaceutical organizations, including Merck, AstraZeneca, and Johnson & Johnson. She is known for turning complex challenges into clear, actionable strategies that build confident leadership. Certified in DISC, Clifton Strengths, Emotional Intelligence, and as an imposter syndrome practitioner. I know you're like, oh, thank goodness. Finally, someone who's going to be able to explain this thing. I know, come on in. She equips leaders through her signature SOAR framework to move from unrealized potential to intentional, impactful growth. I am so excited to welcome back to the flip side of adversity, Katina Christmas Robertson. Welcome. Yay.
Yay, I'm so glad to be back. Thank you so much.
I've been waiting for this conversation because we were chatting a little bit off camera, and that I'm finding myself in this season as a leader in both now county government, as an entrepreneur, as a soon-to-be nonprofit leader, as someone who is now looking to fund women to launch their dreams. There are so many areas that excite me, but I feel like I'm sitting in this space where I need to really check for alignment before I do another thing. And my word for 2026 was exceedingly. And I was so excited when Lord gave me this word. I was like, yes, exceedingly. And then my version of exceedingly is not what started showing up. And he dropped in my spirit, exceedingly is about your alignment, not how big things get. And a conversation of moving from maintenance to momentum so aligns with my word, with what I feel like is brewing, but I need a coach. Welcome to my coaching session. Y'all can just peek in. I need a coach. I need a coach to walk me through this. So
Absolutely.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks.
You picked this title of momentum, from maintenance to momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And I recognize, and I've seen the shift, and I know as a coach, you've seen the shift happening. How can leaders actually diagnose which mode they find themselves operating in?
Oh, that is, therein lies the conundrum, is the reason why people are in this mode of just do is because it feels like time has sped up and the deadlines, they don't go anywhere, but they seem closer and closer. Mm-hmm. And we are finding ourselves managing way too many things, and having to have balance. And people are saying, I'm protecting my peace, but then they're not really. They'll put the peace over in the corner, say, I'll get to you after I do these 50 things. And so the challenge is, how do I put all my pieces on the table and find out what I'm supposed to be doing? So self-diagnosis, you need to ask yourself, are you dreading going to work? Are you snapping at people? Are you making decisions and then having to go back and unmake those decisions, or having to pivot because that decision is taking you somewhere else?
Yeah.
That was for me. I started to realize, okay, I'm short with people. And then I started making decisions at a point where I was overextended. I was at a place where I was mentally fried and I didn't know it because this is the Whitney Houston era. I'm every woman. I'm trying to be, excuse me, Diana. I'm trying to be every woman.
Yes.
And I'm giving myself the sloppy seconds, the last. And my family right above that. And when I realized that was happening, I had to put a pause on everything.
Do you find that can really go unchecked in high-performing leaders?
Oh, absolutely. Because in high-performing leaders, what they think is, I'm being loyal to the company. I'm part of this project. I'm pushing the bottom line. I am making a difference. I am impacting. And guess what? If it goes unchecked, it starts to impact your body. And that's the part where you really have to understand that if I am unable to come to work for the next 3 weeks or longer, will they be able to, they will fill that spot in a minute. Just like they plug the hole with you, they will plug your hole with somebody else.
Yes.
And that's the part where we really feel like we're being loyal, and we're then our mind has this thing where it's making sense of what's happening. So we think, and we create a new definition that me towing this line and doing it for the company, if I pause, then I am being disloyal to the company. No, you've already started betraying yourself.
Yes.
Because you've given your job as an idol. It's usually ourselves, but we'll put our job and then that part.
Yes. I feel like this is literally a continuation of our conversation last week with Bridget Hitchens. She talked about curating a healing environment, but it starts with the leader, not the checklist. And you are literally picking the conversation up from where she left off and walking us into what you think you are doing for the business, for the company, actually could be the thing that does the business in or destroys the team.
Oh, absolutely. And you're not thinking that way because you're just getting it done. But think about that. When you're just getting it done, you are doing as many things as quickly as you possibly can. So if I'm gaining speed, I'm losing quality. If I'm not taking the time, this is the part where you should pause, train somebody how to make some decisions, how to be able to come alongside or support you so that you give your brain some space to think. But you're moving at the speed of light and you feel like, I don't have time to do that. But what you really don't have time is to not do that, because then you're making bad decisions or poor decisions or not as well informed. You're not as jazzed and buzzed about them. It's not validating you because you just have to make this decision and move on. Yeah. And so what happens is you get into this hamster wheel where you're afraid to get off.
And potentially losing track of your why, your passion, because you're performing, not being impactful.
Oh, it's absolutely performative. And you're like, well, this isn't really what I signed up for. But when do you say that? When do you say that, and what does it cost you between when you start doing it and when you realize that you're doing it? You're like you said, it's doing the company a disservice because you're not even giving it your best. And then if somebody tells you you're not giving your best, you're giving blood, sweat, and tears. So now we're having a problem because I'm here 12 hours. I'm giving everything. But what you're giving, you're checking it. You're checking the box. You're phoning it in because it's not it doesn't align to your core, your why. And listen, we are past the age where you have to stay at a job for 30 years and get a watch.
No.
that you didn't love, a job you didn't love, just because you have to put food on the table.
Right.
You were created with gifts, talents, strategies that you can implement, but you never give yourself the chance to do it if you allow that to drive you instead of what's on the inside.
There are two things that are really coming up in my mind at the same time. So I'm going to try to not lose one. The first one is you talked about bringing in someone to begin to train. What is a mistake that you find leaders make often when we talk about this delegation? Because we hear it all the time. You should delegate. But I feel like leaders don't always know how to do that effectively so that you stay in your role and allow the actual mission to move forward. What are they getting wrong about delegating?
So delegating, it takes time. You can streamline it, but there are a couple of critical factors in delegation. One, sometimes we'll just dump the task on someone, but we haven't taught them how to think strategically about it. We haven't told them why we needed to do X, Y, Z. We haven't told them what the impact of it, if they do it, if they don't, the timeliness. And so what we've done is we've just dumped and we've offboarded a task. But what you want to do is take the time, even if you have to have them walk through it with you and you say it out loud. This is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing this. And this is what it impacts. I mean, AI will help you say what you're doing and keep a list of it. It'll help you because I say that because the excuse or the reason is that's going to take time. I don't have time. I will just do it myself.
All the time. I see it all the time. That's why I bring this up because, and I literally was at a summit today and they were talking about delegation. And I sat there thinking about people, leaders, especially even high performing leaders, sometimes that A-type personality that really loves it to be just this certain way. And you tell them to delegate and they delegate it, as you said, without clear expectations, clear vision. But what I loved about what you just said is helping the person actually become a strategic thinker, not just a task deliverer. That's a whole different process than I don't want to do this anymore. Let me just give it to so-and-so.
Or I can't do this anymore.
That part.
I have to give it to you. You've watched me do it 1,000 times. Just do it. And that happens all the time. So if you're looking for a sign that says, I need to do it now before you have to start to onboard somebody into your process. And I know this so well because you said that type A personality. So with DISC, it's the D, and the D doesn't want long explanations, doesn't want to have these good long conversations. We want results. And you watch me do it, just figure it out. So I'm a D, but I'm an I. And okay, so I is collaborative. So that's a nice little mix, but we still don't want to stop the train and tell you what to do. But you run into a wall long enough, you're going to realize that you're going to need a C and you're going to need an S. Those are the more conscientious thinkers. Those are the more regimented people that drive you crazy but help save you and the company. And so it is worth it to stop, grab somebody, and walk them through the process and teach them in circumstances like this. Here are your options. Here's what happens. If X, then this. If Y, then this. And what you're doing, like you said, I'm teaching you to be a strategic partner so that when I need the gap to think, you need time to think. Leaders, you need time to think so you can begin to perform at an even higher level. You are dumbing yourself down by choosing not to just pause, just stop.
The hearts.
You are dumbing yourself down. You're selling yourself short and you are not even fulfilled. So all that work and you're exhausted and you don't even have the endorphins because you finished it.
Yes. In the chat right now, I want you to drop some signs that as a leader, the person is just maintaining. Drop some descriptions, some symptoms, some signs in the chat. Help another leader out so that when they see it pop up, they're like, oh, maybe I need to create the pause because that symptom, that sign, that's me, and I'm not giving myself enough bandwidth to process and think, and I'm dumbing myself down. I'm playing small.
And I think I'm playing big. There's the gag. I think I'm playing big because I'm doing all these things.
I'm exhausted.
But I'm exhausted. I'm not doing them well. And after a while, they become beneath me. They put you in leadership to push it forward, and you're just keeping it at even keel. You're not
holding on to when your role is actually here.
Yes.
And holding on to too many things that are no longer the $100 idea, the $100 level or the $1,000 level. Yes. You are holding on to the $10 level.
Yes.
In order to stay in control.
I struggled with that early on, and I didn't realize I struggled with it, but there's that D personality. I want to get it done, and I'm thinking nobody can do it as good as me.
Yeah.
And that's craziness because you will run yourself in the ground and you will stay at a certain level. You can't maintain the $1,000, $100, $10. You can't maintain all the things. You can't take the space to dream up an idea. People that come back from vacation say, oh my gosh, all the ideas and things I came up with. Why? Because you had to sit down. You had to sit with your thoughts, and the water made you realize I'm brilliant. The water made you realize I could connect X and Y and come up with Z. But when you're in the rat race, when you are holding on to everything, you won't allow your brilliance to even grow and develop.
Yeah. So you've said, allow for there to be some runway for you to coach, teach, train strategic thinking. So you may have to pay up front for some time.
Yes.
To create a thought partner who begins to develop the strategic thinking so that as the bigger projects come along, you're now able to pass them to someone you have prepared.
So that you can be you.
Go on to the next.
They can't do what you do.
Right. And you're not doing the thing that you're specifically here for.
You're not. You're doing what they're here for. And they're standing around twiddling their thumbs, wondering how they can help. So you have to stop. And the pay up front, it can look like extra hours in the beginning. But if you're doing the work that still needs to be done while you're showing them, hands-on, instructional, coaching them, and then there's a leadership skill that's able to identify what's around the table, what skills different team members bring, you can even have a group discussion, a group instruction, so that the process gets absorbed. It gets absorbed differently depending on the skill level around the table. And when you leave to go think and dream and create what's next, they are now not arguing among themselves. They are collaboratively putting together not just what you told them, but they're starting to think about what's next. And the efficiencies that you create by doing that make up for the price that you pay up front.
To set it up. Yes. Yep. And as you're cultivating strategic thinkers, I want you to continue to think about those symptoms, those signs as leaders, put them into the chat, because something I've also noticed in this maintenance period is when something is delegated, if it doesn't look exactly the way you want it to look, then you either take it back or you criticize.
And right in the middle is feedback, constructive feedback. And that's the part, that is the part that needs to happen, is manage your expectations. See it in the long run that once they get it right, It is going to be beneficial for the team, for the project, for you, and you will feel better. Manage your expectations. They may fail the first time, or it may. And what does failure look like? And that's something that you might need to have a conversation. Your expectations are, these are the metrics. This is what I want to get done. But you have to dial back and do the work personally and say, it may not look like the way I've done it. It may not be exactly the way I've arrived to the finished project or the finished product. But success definitions are here. This is not loosely defined, but all of this area around there, I give them the leeway to get to the expected end however they need to. And I'm going to have to just dial it back. So type A personality, type D, dial it back. And guess what? And I use this example a lot. In the pharmaceutical industry, I was in naming rooms where we would name drugs. And nobody came up with the name for the drug. Mm-hmm. We threw words, we threw descriptors. Now you throw it into AI and it spits something out. But these were people around the table, and no one person came up with the name, but we were catalysts, the one to the other. And that's the part. If we would have stuck with the one name that one person had, we would have missed the opportunity to elevate. And that's what you have to understand, is that people bring different experiences and skill levels to a table, to a project, and it can elevate your initial idea. We can't stay at your idea. We need to grow and expand, and it doesn't take anything away from you. Your credit, your control, your kudos, you're leading the team.
Yeah. But you have to be well enough, balanced enough, in harmony enough to be able to allow that growth process even within yourself, to allow to let go of the white knuckle grip on your idea of how you've always done it. Because I think one of the symptoms that might show up is you are clutching onto things so tightly that may also be a sign you're in maintenance mode, because your grip is too tight and you won't allow someone to make a mistake, you don't have the bandwidth to coach them through. All of those signs are elements of you're in that maintenance mode. Can you explain the difference? Because I also think this is connected to a leader who is operating in maintenance mode. When they are communicating back, they get the project or the first phase of the project is given to them. They are confusing criticism with feedback. What's the difference?
So the difference between feedback takes into account what they meant, what they were arriving or trying to achieve. And you help them tweak how they got there or the outcome. And it is specific. The feedback needs to be specific. It needs to be timely, and it needs to be constructive. How do I help you understand what was needed, what was missed, and how you can do it better the next time? That's feedback. Criticism is, I know I told you to do XYZ. Why didn't you do it? And so what you've missed the opportunity to understand how they missed it. So the truth is they messed up. But you now can step into an opportunity to understand what they're thinking, understand how they arrived there, and it doesn't have to take long. And so you can say, how did you arrive to this? So when I said this, and this is what I've been practicing lately, when I said this, this is what I meant. But what did that sound like to you?
What did that sound like to you?
Because I'm a
what
D.
Did you hear?
I am not amazing. I am not naturally amazing at giving you all the details and bullets and instruction that you want. I am practicing this thing. So what I do is I try to make myself as transparent as possible and say, listen, we've got like 2 minutes to get this right. And I never give full instruction. So help me understand what I said to you and how you interpreted that, so that when we move to this next iteration, I can do a better job of explaining, and you can make sure that you get it and we are all on the same page.
And we both grow.
That we both grow.
But you have to be willing to own
it. Oh, I own it. I am a D.
But if you are in maintenance mode, you very seldom have the bandwidth to own the things that you need to change, that you need to evolve, that you need to grow through.
So D's might need to be, and I'm saying D, it's DISC, it is type A, it is that personality that just kind of wants to power through.
Yes.
It's not bad, but the part where you need to dial back is when you're not working well with your team, when you're doing it all and trying to handle it yourself. D's need to be afraid sometimes. D's need to really understand what it will look like if you don't stop. And you have to have your own self-assessment and somebody you trust.
And ask that question, what will this look like if I don't stop? Now, as a practitioner, my assumption, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that another element of this that pushes leaders into maintenance mode is imposter syndrome.
Oh, absolutely.
First, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page on what imposter syndrome is. And then can you help walk us through how does it show up in seasoned leaders as well as leaders who are emerging into a new space? I know I gave you a whole book of stuff.
Look, so now I'm going to try to talk fast because that's a lot, but let me speak fast. So, okay, imposterism is the phenomenon of you feeling like you don't belong, that even though you have a list of accolades and achievements, almost as if you stole the position, almost as if you were put there and at any point someone can discover that you don't know what you're doing. And it's internalized and people work out of imposterism. And it is from the top C-suite all the way down. And the 2023 Gallup poll showed that workers across the world, not just America, were 83% were experiencing a level of imposterism.
83%?
And it used to be 76 back, the study back in like the early 2000s, but the 2023 number, 83%. 83%.
So you've trained leaders across global organizations. So with 83%, what might be some signs of imposter syndrome in the seasoned leader versus the emerging leader?
So there are so many ways imposterism shows up. But for the seasoned leader, there they are. They can even be an emerging leader if they're getting elevated.
Seasoned but moving into a new spot.
Do I deserve this? Am I the right person for this job? What happens if I mess up? And not having the confidence and feeling like they need to know everything. So they move in a small space, in a safe space, and they're constrained. And so instead of them really just growing in the position, they have external expectations of themselves. They think everyone is expecting them to have all of the answers. And if they don't have all of the answers, then that's it. You're a fraud, you're a phony, and they fear the embarrassment of that.
And from that place, you literally create a lid for your team.
You create a lid for your team because you cap off at where you're comfortable.
Yeah. Oh, and an emerging leader, I'm just getting started and I'm struggling with imposter syndrome.
Sweet little lady from Canada, she had just been given the role. And a lot of times right now, people are leaving positions and they just need to fill the spot. Yeah. So she was brought up on this promotion and she's like, how did I get here? I don't know. I said, they voted you in because they see something in you. If you came in and could do everything perfectly, it would be time for a promotion already. This is a space you have to reframe what you're talking about. You have to reframe, identify what's happening in your mind. And for her, it was, I don't belong here. I don't know enough to do this, and I'll probably fail. They'll figure it out. You have to reframe all of that internal conversation. You have to reframe it and say, I have something to offer to this position. Whatever I don't know, I'll learn it because I'm super smart.
Right.
And once I learn it, I'm able to translate that and help my team learn it. And if we lost time while I was figuring it out, I'll teach them so well, we will make up the time. And you have to reframe that because they see something in you that the imposter voice is drowning out.
What are the early warning signs that a leader is drowning?
Canceled meetings.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Taking lots of time.
Having a moment.
So wait, so this is the thing. You burn out.
Yeah.
And what people think burnout is exhaustion, but it's emotional drain. It is something that a good night's sleep can't cure.
It can't cure. And it's hiding.
It's hiding. You're putting things off. You're avoiding behaviors. You are doing the small things that you can do to try to get some endorphins. I erased the chalkboard today. Check that off. Put that on the list. The things that really aren't moving the needle, you're doing them because you are trying to make yourself feel better. Your body is trying to self-regulate. Your soul is saying, hey, I am tired here.
Yeah. How do they create that shift? Give our listeners who you have stepped on their toes and said, I see you, all in the same conversation at one time. Give them some strategies. The hearts have been flying. Cheryl said, teach. Yes.
Good stuff.
Give them some strategies because now they've realized, wow, I'm in maintenance mode, but I've really been called to momentum. Walk us through some elements of SOAR.
So SOAR, the acronym SOAR, you start with self-assessment. Where am I? What's happening to me? Why am I? Just understanding where you are in all of that space. And then obstacles to alignment. So understand where you are helps you kind of center. Yeah. This is what I'm here for. If you don't know what you're here for, if you don't know your why, you will constantly be in this space. So you need to find out your why. And it could be buried back. It could be adrift, but you need to find that.
And I don't want to interrupt you where you lose your thought, but I do think people also need to recognize that finding the why oftentimes is said to people at the beginning stage of something. They're getting ready to launch something. They're getting ready to do something new. And we talk about why. But if you have found yourself in maintenance mode for a long time, you started off with why. And now you've drifted.
Drift.
And so this can be the senior leader. This can be the seasoned leader. This can be the entrepreneur who has been doing it for 10 years. And you look and you said a why, but you're like, but I'm all the way over here.
We talked about that in class yesterday. It's choice versus chance. It is my choice is I want to align with my why. Why am I doing this? But chance is the atmosphere right now, what we need right now, what we need to do. And it pulls it, it's demanding. And that's fine for 1-offs, 2-offs, 3-offs. But when you find that the organization has not given you the support that you need, that the circumstances have not gotten to a place where you can get back to your alignment, you can drift so far off course that you forget what your why was. And you have to revisit your why. Yeah. And your soul is saying, hello, we're off. We are off. We are experiencing burnout, and sleep does not cure your burnout. It is your soul. Your mind is exhausted. Your emotions are overrun and overwrought. So you have to have a sabbatical. You have to put your foot down and not pencil yourself in. You have to pen yourself in to think.
To think.
To think.
Not just go to the Bahamas.
No. Listen, the Bahamas is what people are, self-care, take care of yourself. You need a nap. You need some rest. And rest is true. But the emotional rest, the Bahamas doesn't cure, because you get to the Bahamas. If you haven't done an 8-day trip, at least it's going to take you 2 days to wind down, 3 days to wind down off of what you left. Then you're enjoying it. But the 2 or 3 days before you go back, you are now emotionally overrun because you're nervous about what you're coming back to.
Yes. I interrupted SOAR. I got us all off track. So you are at
because we struggle with self-assessment. Yes. We struggle with understanding where we are, why we are, and how far we've drifted. Because we have been under somebody else's cadence for way too long. And what you need is, for shock value, I need you to know that as the longer you stay in this maintenance phase, the more you are denying yourself, betraying yourself. You are selling yourself out. We talk about people selling their soul. You're selling your soul. You are selling your mind, your will, your emotions to a system. And calling it loyalty. So self-assessment and those obstacles, that's the O of SOAR. What is in the way of you getting back to alignment? We identify those. And then we put together an action plan to dismantle those things. And then resilience is so you don't backslide. What do we put in place so that you keep on the momentum that you're meant to be?
What are some examples of that resilience?
So for resilience, you have to have a date on the calendar all the time, like in advance, where you shut it down. And you've got to start to learn to value you. And so through the obstacles and the action planning, we work on them, understanding how valuable they are and the detriment that this environment has done to who they were.
Can you break down some of the obstacles, some examples of obstacles that, as you've worked with clients? So because I want to make sure leaders understand what they may be loyal to is actually an obstacle.
The fact that you feel like that's the only paycheck you can get. The fact that you feel like you'll be letting the company down if you take care of you. The fact that you feel like nobody else can do what you do, and you owe it to the organization. You owe it to the project. You owe them the time. Well, they were there for me. Well, if you allow this to keep going, will you be there for you?
Right.
So those are a couple of the obstacles, but feeling like I said, the 50 years at a job I hate just because I have to put food on the table. We're in 2026 where your skills will translate to something that will protect your peace and give you the money that you need. And that's an obstacle. Your mindset of how you feel you can continue to contribute at the level at which you're being compensated, and the importance of compensation versus peace. Because if you lose you, your family not only loses the compensation that you're married to and tied to, they also lose you.
Yeah.
And I don't like to be that grave.
But it's true.
But it's true.
How can leaders lead effectively when they have responsibility, but they're feeling like they don't have the voice or authority to make these shifts or these changes? How can they still lead? So
one thing I always suggest is, you know how like when you're doing a puzzle, you put all the pieces on the table? In some of this planning time, this thinking time, you need to get an accurate picture of what you do, what it serves. Start to start to prioritize what things need to be done, when they need to be done. And you'll see, and we'll talk about it, Do you have to do that? Does it have to be
Be
you?
Mm-hmm.
How can you get this done more efficiently and see the impact of your time, your emotional drain? What is it pulling from you to get this done? And who told you had to do it?
Yeah.
So that's the one part. I didn't even get to the influence question.
But this begins to create intentionality because I'm seeing almost like a visual map.
Yes.
Not just in your head. You're not just continuing to think this, but you're actually laying paper down and writing out and mapping your effectiveness, your impact, as well as your depletion.
Yes. And some of my C's, that's DISC, the conscientious, the ones with, they'll color code it and start to put time, whatever makes you visualize so you can see the impact of your stretch. Because we will just keep going and then collapse and give our spouses the worst of us, our families the worst of us, and we're even after our spouse. So however you need to see it. Yeah. And then if you're not the leadership, I get it. It comes with title and position, et cetera. But influence moves the needle. And when you are confident about what is happening, what needs to happen, what you bring to the table, and you start creating boundaries for yourself and saying what you will do and what you will not do in order to preserve your sanity, your emotions, and be able to think strategically and grow in a place that aligns with who you are, people will listen.
And you've just given us another reason around you can't stay in that maintenance mode and understand your value, your voice, and your influence. No. You can't do, they cannot.
They don't coexist.
They cannot coexist.
They cannot. And we try. We try. We give ourselves 5 minutes to think about what aligns to us. And years later, it's dusty in a corner. And we have, I said it earlier, we've dumbed ourselves down. We've belittled our value. We don't know. When you know your value and your worth, they brought you there because you can impact other people. There are people beneath you. And I don't mean beneath you. I just mean like in a hierarchical system that are looking for your brilliance. And you doing their job doesn't help them grow.
Yeah.
And it doesn't push you to your greatness.
So you're talking about momentum connected to alignment.
Oh, absolutely.
So what does alignment actually look like in practice?
So in practice, for me, I need to be helping somebody. I need to know that my effort helped somebody to be better than they started before they were part of the project or whatever. That's at my core. So if I'm in a place where I am far from seeing where people are helped, I've been in roles where I did them great, but nobody was helped. I was pushing paper. And some people are validated by pushing paper and making sure the numbers all add up and line up. You've got to know your thing. What jazzes you? What is your jam? What are you created to be? What excites you? What is that thing that you would do all day, all week without pay because you love it?
Yes.
And you have to find a way to make sure that you are hitting what aligns with. Now, I did not say quit your job today.
Clearly.
I'm going to be an actor. Listen, no, but you have to start valuing what it's going to feel like to be aligned and move back from where you are, drift back intentionally, chart a course. To come back from where you are and get to where you're aligned. Well, is that a place in your organization? Is that changing the priority of what you're working on right now? Is that lessening some of the time? Whatever that looks like, small moves, incremental moves will get you back in alignment. But you've got to first be real with yourself and say, this is what makes me happy.
Unapologetically.
Yes. We say unapologetically me, and that means I'm going to say some cuss words and tell you how I feel. But unapologetically me is I'm in my zone. I'm in my happy place.
Yes. And I'm not afraid to say out loud what honestly brings me joy. Even if I don't understand all of the steps at the start of it, of how, but it really is being bold enough to say out loud the what.
Yeah. And if you're in a box, if you've allowed the system, whatever that is, all of the obstacles, the things that you feel you have to do this to achieve, if you've allowed them to keep you from what really makes you happy, what really values you, you have deprioritized yourself and prioritized the system. And it is time for you to put your foot down and say, oh no, I'm getting back to what excites me.
Yeah. Have you always had it this together?
Nope.
Do you have a flip?
Do I have a flip? Listen, I spent my career in the pharmaceutical industry. Not a lot of people look like me. I mean, comparatively, not a lot of people look like me. And I had a time where I had a manager that actually, she took my ideas. I didn't know she was taking them, but she belittled me. And I let her put me in a box. And I'm running around doing all the things. And I am burning myself out. And I showed up at a meeting. And there's my idea on the screen. And she's getting the credit. And I was very angry, frustrated. She had belittled me and made it look like I had to keep striving. You'll get there soon. Oh yeah, that's because you're green. Oh, you said that because you're new. You don't have enough experience. So I'm chasing this elusive carrot. And it changed who I was. It changed what I did. And I wasn't growing. I was doing all of these things to get validation when I already had what I needed.
You were already.
But then I had to talk myself out of where I drifted and get back in alignment to what I do. And after that, every role I took, even if it wasn't in the title, I became the trainer. I became the one, because I have a gift of making things that are super confusing. If I can understand it, I can help you get it. And then I'm validated because now I see your growth, and that is what I'm put on this earth for.
And that's your core.
That is my core. And so that's my flip, is that I bottomed out and I was just checking the box. I was in maintenance mode, and I took on more and more projects to get validation externally. And then I see my idea on the screen at this big company meeting, and she getting the credit. And I had allowed myself to be devalued. And I said, oh no.
How did you recover from there?
It took a while because I was angry.
Yeah.
It's self-regulation. That's part of emotional intelligence. I didn't have it right then. I was angry. And then I felt despondent, like, well, what am I going to do? She's my boss. She's not the only boss in the world. She's not. And I had a lot of self-talk. I had a lot of writing down what I did. And then I started volunteering outside of work, doing what I love to do. And what it did was it started to build momentum because I was aligned. And then I said, well, if I love what I do outside of work, how can I find what I love what I do outside of work to line up with what I do on the inside of work? And that is how I drifted back.
Some shifts. And you began to reconnect with who you were.
Yes.
Through the process of remembering what you love to do, even though it wasn't necessarily in that office. And I've just found that as you get back in connection with the original design of who you are, things naturally begin to course correct in your life.
They do. They do, because it's like you unburied it and you found it, and you can't unsee it.
You can't unsee
You can't
it.
unfeel it.
I know people have been helped. Your core has happened through the sound waves within our conversation, and someone is saying like, oh, how can I find her? How can I follow her? Can you share how people can connect with you?
I absolutely can. So you can find me. My website is KatinaChristmasRobertson.com. And in the description, we're going to drop a worksheet that will allow you to just kind of take a self-assessment on, are you in maintenance mode? Are you that person that's burned out and you thought you were just exhausted physically, but it might be that you're not aligned. So that worksheet is there. It's a freebie for you to help you walk through where you are. And I just want to encourage you. There's a couple of things that you can do right now, just little incremental things. One, put that time on your schedule. Take the time for you to think. Number two, assess what's going on in your life. Number three, say out loud what it is that makes you proud, makes you happy. And number four, call me. Click on the link and set up some time. Let's talk and let me help point you in the right direction. If it's working with me, that's it. If it's working with someone in my network, I can work with that. But whatever you do, don't stay stuck, because it's time for you to soar.
As we close tonight, I want to bring us back to one powerful truth that Katina helped us name. Just because you can hold everything together doesn't mean you're actually supposed to. So many leaders listening have been surviving on competence. You're capable, you're reliable, you're one person who they can absolutely call on when everything breaks. But somewhere along the way, maintenance mode replaced your momentum. Urgency, it's actually begun to crowd out strategy. And filling gaps became your full-time assignment. What Katina modeled tonight is the courage to pause and ask, where am I aligned? What is draining me? What have I actually normalized that no longer is sustainable? That's not weakness. That's actually leadership maturity. We talked about imposter syndrome showing up even in seasoned leaders. We talked about emotional intelligence, not just as a buzzword, but as a buffer against burnout. We talked about systematizing, delegating, and realigning work with strengths so that you are not the bottleneck to your own growth. And here's the flip. When leaders come back into alignment, everything shifts. Capacity begins to expand. Resentment decreases. Clarity sharpens and momentum returns. Not because the workload disappears, but because the leader gets recentered. So here's your action step. This week, audit your leadership. Identify one task you're holding that someone else could own. Name one expectation you've accepted without question. Reclaim one block of time for strategic thinking instead of reactive doing. You don't need to do a complete overhaul. You need one intentional shift, because the goal is not to be indispensable. The goal is actually to be impactful. And when you stop maintaining and start leading with clarity and capacity, you don't just transform your work, you transform your life. And that's the flip we love to talk about. And as leaders in this season of uncertainty, that kind of alignment isn't optional, it's essential. I can't wait for us to continue this leadership series as we address your exhaustion, your depletion, the spaces in which you are just white knuckle surviving. As we talk to leader after leader each week, with strategy, with insight, and most importantly, with an open invitation for you to identify who you are going to be. Same time, same space, next week on the flip side. I'll see you then.